Welcome to day 20, chapter 20 in Luke. We're reading, and we're almost done. We are reading until Christmas Eve, and then we will have read the entire book of Luke. Let's get right into it. The authority of Jesus challenged. One day, as Jesus was teaching the people in the temple and preaching the gospel, the chief priests and the scribes with the elders came up and said to him, "Tell us by what authority you do these things, or who is it that gave you this authority?" He answered them, "I also will ask you a question. Now tell me, was the baptism of John from heaven or from man?" And they discussed it with one another, saying, "If we say from heaven, he will say, 'Why did you not believe him?' But if we say from man, all the people will stone us to death, for they are convinced that John was a prophet." So they answered that they did not know where it came from. And Jesus said to them, "Neither will I tell you by what authority I do these things." Once again, they're trying to trip him up on his words, get him to admit to something that can get him killed or get the people to not believe, to not hang on his every word. But he's just too smart for them. The parable of the wicked tenants. And he began to tell people this parable. A man planted a vineyard and let it out to tenants and went into another country for a long while. When the time came, he sent a servant to the tenants so that they would give him some of the fruit of the vineyard. But the tenants beat him and sent him away empty-handed. And he sent another servant, but they also beat him and treated him shamefully and sent him away empty-handed. And he sent yet a third. This one also they wounded and cast out. Then the owner of the vineyard said, "What shall I do? I will send my beloved son. Perhaps they will respect him." But when the tenants saw him, they said to themselves, "This is the heir. Let us kill him, so that the inheritance may be ours." And they threw him out of the vineyard and killed him. What then will the owner of the vineyard do to them? He will come and destroy those tenants and give the vineyard to others. When they heard this, they said, "Surely not." But he looked directly at them and said, What then is this that is written? The stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. The stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. Everyone who falls on that stone will be broken to pieces, and when it falls on anyone, it will crush him. Paying taxes to Caesar. The scribes and chief priests sought to lay hands on him at that very hour, for they perceived that he had told this parable against them. It sounds like it's against them, but they feared the people. So they didn't want to cause an uproar either, these Pharisees. They didn't want to cause an uproar with the people because so many people were following Jesus and wanting to hear him. So they watched him and sent spies who pretended to be sincere, that they might catch him in something he said, so as to deliver him up to the authority and jurisdiction of the governor. So they asked him, "Teacher, we know that you speak and teach rightly and show no partiality, but truly teach the way of God. Is it lawful for us to give tribute to Caesar or not?" But he perceived their craftiness and said to them, "Show me a denarius. Whose likeness and inscription does it have?" They said, "Caesar's." He said to them, "Then render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and render to God the things that are God's." And they were not able in the presence of the people to catch him in what he said, but marveling at his answer, they became silent. They thought that the Messiah would take down the Romans and be a political figure, but Jesus did not come that way. He that wasn't what he was doing, and he basically said whatever is Caesar's gives to Caesar's. That's not, probably didn't even really care about that stuff. Stop worrying about that stuff and let's talk about what's God's stuff and take care of that stuff, but not the political stuff. Sadducees ask about the resurrection. There came to him some Sadducees, those who deny that there is a resurrection. And they asked him a question, saying, "Teacher, Moses wrote for us that if a man's brother dies, having a wife but no children, the man must take the widow and raise up offspring for his brother. Now there were 7 brothers. The first took a wife and died without children, and the second and the third took her, and likewise all 7 left no children and died. Afterward the woman also died. In the resurrection, therefore, whose wife will the woman be? For the 7 had her as a wife." And Jesus said to them, "The sons of this age marry and are given in marriage, but those who are considered worthy to attain to that age and to the resurrection from the dead neither marry or are given in marriage, for they cannot die any more, because they are equal to angels and are sons of God, being sons of the resurrection. But that the dead are raised, even Moses showed in the passage about the bush, where he calls The Lord, the God of Abraham, and God of Isaac, and God of Jacob, now he is not God of the dead, but of the living, for all live to him. Then some of the scribes answered, Teacher, you have spoken well. For they no longer dared to ask him any question. Whose son is the Christ? But he said to them, How can they say that the Christ is David's son? For David himself says in the book of Psalms, The Lord said to my Lord, Sit at my right hand until I make your enemies a footstool. David thus calls him Lord, so how is he son? Beware of the scribes. And in the hearing of all the people, he said to his disciples, Beware of the scribes, who like to walk around in long robes and love greetings in the marketplaces and the best seats in the synagogues and the places of honor at feasts, who devour widows' houses and for a pretense make long prayers. They will receive the greater condemnation. Basically, everything is for looks. They love being seen. They love to be seen praying long. They're super religious, and well, it says time and time again, they're also super prideful. So we don't want to be like them. And that is the end of chapter 20. We only got a few more days, and I really want to get through it. I'm so glad most people are sticking with it, even though some of the audio gets cut off. So thank you, and I will see you again for day 21.